The groups are set then for next year's World Cup, certainly some harder than others. Coming up over the next hour, we'll be discussing the winners and losers from today's draw with a plethora of experts from around the globe on ESPN FC. Next. Welcome in then to a special World Cup edition of ESPN FC. Craig Burley, Gab Marcotti, Ali Moreno and Stuart Robson alongside me. A number of guests as well joining us throughout the hour. But let's start, shall we, by looking at the draw in case you missed it. Here it is in all its glory. Craig, there isn't kind of a group that jumps out at you and grabs you by the throat and gets you excited, is there?
Correct.
Yes.
Correct. But, you know, the pots were what they were and the
yep.
were what they were, so it was unlikely that was going to happen. I don't know. Belgium and England have looking paper as if they've got a really easy group. Portugal in with Spain, two big European powers in there. But no, I mean, I think the usual suspects will probably march on, and that's how it's looking at the moment.
What grabbed your attention, Gav?
Well, first of all, just about this. Let's be very clear. With these seedings, we can't have it both ways. We can't complain that, oh, there's no toughest group and no group jumps out at us.
I don't think it was a complaint, it was an observation.
Well, the benefit, the flip side of this is that if the favourites advance, we're going to get some absolutely cracking...
Oh, you're an elitist now?
Well, you know what?
He's always been an elitist, we know that.
No, at the last World Cup, people moan about Greece and Costa Rica, whatever else, right? Hey, this time around, if the favourites advance, we're going to get all the big name hype and everything in the round of 16 and the quarterfinals and so on. And I think that's good. I mean, for me, the group that stands out is Argentina's group because obviously you've got Croatia, who I think are great.
Yeah, we'll talk about the groups in a minute. Don't start breaking them down already.
We'll have plenty of time to talk about it. There's a 48. Got loads. 48.
Can't wait for that.
If we go back to the draw for a second, how about Maradona's bow tie? That was
special. Yeah, that was.
Where's his neck gone?
Well, that's a different story altogether.
Who's his suit fitter as well?
Yes, that too. We go back to 2014. Germany beats Argentina. Now we look forward to 2018. What's it going to be like? What's this tournament going to be like? And then the first game after the opening ceremony is going to be Russia, Saudi Arabia. Russia, Saudi Arabia. That's what we got to look forward to.
Saudi Arabia are making history. They're the first Asian team in a World Cup opening game.
So you're excited about watching Russia, Saudi Arabia?
What hit me, that when you actually see the draw, there's a lot of poor teams in this World Cup. Yeah. Teams that have qualified, but how they've qualified, I'm not quite sure. But there's a lot of poor teams. I think we're going to see the elite get to the, obviously get through.
What's it going to be like when it's 48?
Oh, it's ridiculous.
I'm looking ahead. Russia's going to be great. Well, I think we're going to get some good games, but I think the group stages will be...
The World Cup will come to life when it gets to the last 16.
Which it should, I suppose, in theory. That's the way it should be, isn't it? Ian Dark is with us. Ian, what stood out for you, mate?
I can't believe everybody's so miserable. It's a World Cup year. It's the World Cup. Come on, we've been looking forward to this. OK, I know everybody connected with the USA's in a darkened room today. It must have been horrible to watch that draw going on if you were the likes of Bruce Arena or Sunil Gulati. But looking through that draw, I think there'll be surprises and I think there'll be shock results. Remember 4 years ago, Spain, Italy, England, Portugal, all failed at the group stage. And how about this for an opening game in that Group D? Argentina against Iceland making their debut at the World Cup. Come on, that's pretty good, isn't it?
Ian, ever the optimist. I love it. Julian, let's bring a French perspective to all of this. Are you excited as Ian about the draw?
Not so much about the draw, more about the World Cup. Obviously, I haven't put my tie on because the World Cup starts today, really. But I agree with the boys. There's not much to take out of that draw. I think the Spain-Portugal one, which is the first game in that Group B, is quite exciting. You know, they've played each other quite a lot recently in big tournaments, and I think it could be a fascinating one. OK,
let's talk about the group that you mentioned, Gab, the Argentina group, which certainly stands out, grabs the attention a little bit. Argentina, big favourites to advance. They're alongside Croatia, Nigeria and Iceland.
Do you know, if you're a country like Iceland going to your first World Cup after a pretty successful Euros, very successful for them and their population, and then to win their group and qualifying, beating Croatia into second, but then to go to a World Cup, and you know,
do you want a big like when you got Brazil? Were you happy when you were in Scotland? Like
happy's the right word, but it's. But no, in some sense, like, if you know you're not going to look, most of the teams, 75% of the teams, at least maybe more, know they're not going to win the World Cup. So if you're Iceland, you're going there. It's an experience.
Right.
Yes, you want to do well. Yeah, you want to get out your group, but you also want to play in marquee games. And a marquee game is one of the big boys, and they don't come much bigger than Argentina and Lionel Messi. So for these Iceland lads, that's going to be something that's going to be unbelievable to look forward to.
The encouraging part for Argentina, if you're an Argentina fan, is that now Jorge Sampaoli will have time to work with the team so that it can look like a team, so that it's not just Lionel Messi and 10 other guys. And if you're able to put together the talent that Argentina has on paper, show that and showcase that on the field, then Argentina should not only walk through this group, but then they should be a major player in the tournament. And yet again, here comes yet another opportunity for Lionel Messi in a big stage, big tournament, with the pressures of carrying Argentina. He did so through qualifiers. We saw the performances there, and now the expectations have risen once again for what he's able to do with Argentina at the World Cup stage.
Where did Nigeria stand in this group, Gam?
I have Nigeria going through, actually. And I think that's obviously touch and go with Croatia. But, you know, this is a team that, compared to years past, they don't necessarily have those 2-3 superstars, those egos, but they were pretty much flawless through qualifying. They're committed. I just saw a tweet saying that they've actually resolved their bonus issues before the World Cup.
We're 7 months away.
7 months away.
7 months away. Well, all I'm saying is that historically, Nigeria, they're talented. That's not a question about that. The problem is that they always find some way to go into the World Cup with some sort of controversy surrounding the team. The bonuses haven't been paid. The coach, the players, they haven't fallen out.
But this time it's a different story. It's perhaps in some ways maybe more workmanlike Nigeria than we've seen in the past. But they've been very unified, and I think they look pretty strong.
It's a good time for Croatia as well, because during qualifying they were having rows with the coach. The coach wasn't getting on with some of the players. The players weren't being liked by the fans. It's all come together. The last game against Ukraine, when they put in a new manager, they played very well against Greece over 2 legs, and it might just be coming the right time for Croatia. They're a very talented side.
Julian, obviously Argentina, the favourites to advance. Who have you got going through with them? Where do you stand on Nigeria, for example?
Yeah, I agree with Gab. I like them a lot. It's a good generation coming through. They will be physical. They're well organized as well. They probably have more discipline than the past generations, who were often good going forward, but not so good defensively or in midfield. I think this one, he's very European-like, if you want, in that kind of respect defensively. And I think they'll be very interesting in this World Cup.
Croatia are the ones that have got defensively, that's their big concern. The centre-halves, Vida and Dejan Lovren plays in there. We know he's not having a very good time at Liverpool. But then you look at them going forward, midfield, Brozovic from Inter, Modric, and then you've got Rakitic, then you've got Perisic on one side, Mandzukic or Kalinic to play up front, Kramaric on the other side. Going forward, the Croatians are multi-talented. The issues are at the back, and we saw the problems that they had in the Euros with the fans, and Gab touched on that before, in terms of the internal infighting there's been within the Croatian squad. There was no sign of that in the playoff, albeit it was against Greece, right? It was one big harmonised team and group, and the fans were all together. But things could change. That's how it can be fragile for the Croatian team.
From an Argentinian's perspective, Ali, always Lionel Messi is the focus, going into any big tournament inevitably, and so far he hasn't quite produced the goods that we'd expect. Is he playing with more house money this time? Is there a little bit more sympathy for him, considering, let's face it, without Messi, it's, you know, there's an argument to say that Argentina wouldn't even be there.
Yes, and I think he has built that equity because of the performances that he has provided for Argentina. There were moments in the CONMEBOL qualifiers where essentially he was getting the ball from center backs, passing the ball to himself at wide, crossing the ball to himself, and then finishing the chances. And that's how Argentina was winning games. That's how it was against Ecuador. He was a hat-trick in the biggest match for them, in a defining moment. The pressure is always going to be on Messi because of who he is and what he represents. But when you have guys like Higuain and Agüero that have had difficulties taking the performance from club to country, those are the guys that I think a lot of the pressure is going to be upon, because Messi is always going to attract that attention, and then he's going to find a pass to Higuain, and there's going to be a moment where he's going to be 1v1 with a goalkeeper, and if he doesn't finish that chance in that big moment, then once again,
have they got the right coach at the moment, though? The coach is
Gab loves him.
Well, yeah, Jorge, I just mentioned that I think it's critical that Jorge Sampaoli will have time to work with this team, which is something he hasn't had. It's not going to be 6 weeks worth of time, but it will be more than a couple of days that was what he has had to prepare them for World Cup qualifiers. This is different. I think Sampaoli will get the job done. And
I think the other thing is, I mean, to Ali's point about Messi supporting cast, and we know what's happened in the past with Higuain and Agüero. The great thing is they're fantastic players, but if you're Sampaoli and you don't think they fit, hey, look, who are the other guys you can pick? Icardi, you can pick Dybala, you can pick El Papu Gomez. You've got so much talent at your disposal that, you know, it's not like, oh, I'm dropping Agüero and I'm, you know, calling up Joe Schmo who lives down the street. No, I'm calling up another
Joe Schmo.
It's a typical Argentine name, Schmolovic. You know what I mean? Like, you've got really high quality alternatives that you can turn to. Now, obviously, you need to get it right, and you'll be second guessed if they don't produce. But I think in that sense, he's in a strong position, and he has the personality to, maybe more so than guys in the past, to turn to Higuain, for example, or Agüero and say, Kun, Pipita, I'm sorry, you guys are great players. You don't fit what I want to do.
Right.
And we've seen that already.
Is there anybody that doesn't want Messi to have a good World Cup?
Yeah, I think it's a football.
Purely from a neutral point of view and looking at his career and all the pressure he's been under, and we saw Bowtie and all, Diego Maradona, who, you know, carried Argentina for however many World Cups, and that's been the huge criticism of Messi. But just to look at his career as a whole, I wouldn't want to see the guy having a poor World Cup and be completely chastised for that, because he's such a good player. And he has another opportunity, and I, for one, hope that he does carry Argentina.
Going back to Maradona there for a second, he was asked about Argentina and the draw.
Yes.
Right there. And his first comment was, Argentina has to play better. Right. He's already sending the message, hey, I am who I am. You guys got to do better than what you've done in the past.
Getting back as manager.
Huh?
That went well.
Yeah,
exactly.
2006.
Coming up after the break, our next stop will be Group F. Mexico and Germany drawn together. We'll be taking a look at that with Raf.
Seeing blokes absolutely flat out. That was slick. Oh, it's smash and grab.
Buying dance gifts, tricky mate. Every bit of this lost the end of the sticky tape. Every bit of this labels weighing down my paper plate. Every bit of this both the in-laws staying late. Every bit of this till the trees gone droopy. Every bit of Christmas.
Come on, it's a lonely weather for a sleigh ride together with you. Outside the snow is falling and friends are calling you.
Star Wars: The Last Jedi, in cinemas December 14th. Celebrate the film's release with Wilkinson Sword Special Edition chrome handles. In stores now. Wilkinson Sword. Free your skin.
If you believe in magic, tonight you can just eat.
Magic is real, it's contained within an app. Put your feet up and watch Peking duck appear with just a tap.
Magic is pizza, tacos,
Savoy fish and chips, shish kebab, vindaloo,
and spicy crispy chicken strips.
Just eat exactly what you feel.
Just eat. Summon up your favorite takeaway tonight.
Football, 90 minutes where anything can happen. You can watch it and you can get involved in it with the latest Coral action.
At Coral, get double your winnings if your team wins both halves in the Arsenal-Man United match.
Coral, jump in. Available from App Store and now Google Play. When the fun stops, stop.
Welcome back. Let's turn our attention to Group F, shall we? Germany drawn with Mexico, Sweden and South Korea. Germany 83% to advance. Raf Honigstein with us. Raf, no problem.
No, it shouldn't be a problem. Not a total walkover because all the teams are of decent quality, can make life awkward. The Swedes have shown that. South Korea, Germany struggled a little bit against in recent World Cup history, shall we say, or fairly recent World Cup history. And of course, Mexico, who Germany will be feeling quite confident about because the B team beat them so comfortably at the Confed Cup not long ago. So it's a group that could have been a lot worse with the likes of Spain or England for Germany.
Who's finishing second in this group, boys? Obviously, Germany's a given. Who have you got?
I'm just Mexico just ahead of Sweden. Ralph said Sweden they're very organised. We saw it in the playoffs. No big star household names really anymore. Forsberg playing in Germany. Workmanlike, but well organised. But it's where the goals are going to come from. And I just think Mexico, although Osorio's been criticised quite a lot for his tactics and his decision-making and personnel, they've got a little bit more, or they should have a little bit more quality than the other teams.
Who have you got, Gam?
Again, I'm with Craig. I've got Germany, duh, and I have Mexico edging Sweden. But really, I think it's all going to come down to that game. And 90 minutes, so much stuff can happen. We've seen this with Sweden, right? I don't think Mexico has ever played a team with 2 6'4" guys where you can just lump balls up to them. And I think it's often a question of matchups in individual games. And they concede early, and Sweden parked the bus. Then it's really, really tough. And then, of course, the wild card is, what if the big man decides to return for Sweden?
Mr. Zlatan.
A game changer.
Well, it could be a game changer in a bad way for Sweden as well.
Not with Zlatan, but no, it could be.
Not
We've seen it before.
But...
No, and obviously they've said, like, look, I'm going to stick to the guys who got us there. And, in terms of world-class talent, other than Forsberg, maybe there isn't such a player. But I think if Forsberg decides, you know what, if Zlatan wants to come back, the manager's already said no, but if Zlatan wants to come back, and if Forsberg and some of the senior players, Granqvist, whatever, if they come out and they say, listen, guys, let's take him back. Let's give this a real shot. Look at this group. Look at what we can do to Mexico if we have Zlatan up there and get through, and let's have a go. Then that could change.
How would you feel, Ali, if you were part of that Sweden group that battled so well and so hard to get a place, then all of a sudden the red carpet's rolled out for Zlatan?
I wouldn't want any part of it, whether I was a player in that group or whether I was Zlatan Ibrahimovic. If I'm Zlatan Ibrahimovic and I retire from international play, and I made that decision was because I thought about it and I want to know part of it.
Yep.
And it would feel disingenuous as a player to say, you know what, you guys went through the long haul of qualifiers, and here I am. And not only here I am, but I'm Zlatan Ibrahimovic. So therefore, now everybody pays homage to what I do because of who I am and what I mean in international soccer. I think that Zlatan Ibrahimovic should not play a part in this, and if I was a player in that locker room, I would not want him to be a part of it either. I would want the team that got me there, the team that left Italy out of the World Cup there, the team that earned their way into the World Cup.
What if you were a fan, though? What if you were a Sweden fan?
I'm not a fan.
You're a fan of Sweden?
Huh?
What if you were a fan?
Robert, where do you stand on this?
In terms of Ibrahimovic, I agree with Ali. If I was a player that played all the games and Ibrahimovic had already retired and I've worked really hard to get us to the World Cup and they suddenly bring him back, I wouldn't be particularly happy. And if the coach, I think, having seen that he's retired, he can't want to bring him back either. He's just got to say, I'm going to stick with these players because they've done brilliantly to get this far. Not because they're a good team, but they got past Holland. They did OK in one of the games against France, and they beat Italy. That's far exceeded what they should have done because they're not a good side.
I know Ibrahimovic is not struggling when it comes to confidence, never has, not shy. Surely to God, though, even he's not going to have the audacity to want to be in that Sweden squad. I know it's going to be his last World Cup if it happened and all that, but he's played no part whatsoever in the qualifying. They've been successful by their standards in doing it. They've had a way of doing it. Surely his own morals would say, no. And we don't know if it is or isn't at the moment, because nobody's coming out and saying anything. I hardly think it's a huge story, by the way, because Sweden are not exactly going to win the World Cup. But surely he's going to rise above it. What if you have an injury? What if Marcus Berg falls down the stairs? Well, that's different. If you've got a couple of players in key positions that have played and they're out, then that's different to a certain extent.
But you cannot change the way that the team has played through the qualifiers going into the World Cup. Because if you go back to the way that they played in the Euros, where Ibrahimovic is playing whatever he wants and there's no sense of team, it's just play the ball to Zlatan and hope that he does something, then it changes what has made you successful and what got you into this point.
Who gets through this group?
Germany and Mexico.
Germany, Mexico.
All right. OK. All right, let's talk about the hosts, shall we? As Ali mentioned at the top of the show, they are drawn with Saudi Arabia. That will be the opening game in the World Cup. Alongside the Saudis, it's Uruguay and Egypt that make up Group A. There seems to be kind of a split talk on this. Looking at Twitter, people seem to think that this is a great draw for Russia. Others disagree.
Great draw for Russia?
The SBI's got them as favourites.
Well, I think they're probably wrong, because Egypt are a decent side. They've got a big centre-half in Ghazi who's doing OK at West Bromwich Albion. Salah is playing really well. They got to the final of the African Cup of Nations and were probably the better team. Cameroon had a decent day. But Egypt are a good side. They're well organised. The only problem is they've got a goalkeeper who's something like 45.
But Russia favourites over Uruguay.
That's what the old SBI says, isn't it?
Yeah.
They're going to be... If they get out of this group, they'll be doing cartwheels.
Right.
They're not a good side. They haven't been a good side for a long time. I know they're at home, but they've not been a good side for a long time. And Egypt, I think, are a lot stronger, and Uruguay are certainly a lot.
So Uruguay and Egypt.
Correct.
I mean, I would lean towards Uruguay. I mean, I've got Russia because of the home factor, but it is really tight with Egypt. But what I will say, though, the thing to remember about Russia as well is that other than Confederations Cup, which they screwed up, they've only played friendlies. They've not had competitive matches. And that's kind of been their alibi thus far as to why, nobody rates them, why their FIFA ranking.
No, but you mentioned the Confederations Cup. Surely that was the litmus test, and they failed it miserably.
Yeah, but they blame that on the friendlies.
Yeah.
But then, wait. What have they got between now and the World Cup? Friendlies?
I'm trying to drum up some excitement for the host nation, OK?
Why? It's all right.
The dancing was enough at the opening ceremony, wasn't it?
Hey, that was impressive.
They're not under any pressure. There's no pressure from the,
Anyway, let's move it away.
I think they're under a lot.
Coming up after the break, we'll be taking a look at Brazil and Spain's group. They're not together. I mean, they're groups.
With everyday loans, it is simple and straightforward. Representative APR 93.6%. Apply now at everydayloans.co.uk and discover your credit future.
Good night, sweetheart. Sleep tight.
Night-night, love.
Sweet dreams, my darling.
Thousands of homeless young people are at risk right now. They dream of having a place to feel safe, a place where they'll be able to build a better future. You can give a young person with nowhere else to go somewhere to develop the skills and the confidence they need to rebuild their life. Please call on 0800 473 0066 for information about sponsoring a room at Centrepoint. Help us give them a home and a positive future. Call us on 0800 473 0066 or text ROOM to 78866 today. Thank you.
Taker steps up. Oh no, look at the anguish. So disappointment, but wait for it. Look at that spin on the ball. Goalkeeper, you should have stayed at home. Unbelievable. And so's this. Goalkeeper says, no, it can't. Striker says, has it? Available from App Store and Google Play. When the fun stops, stop.
There's one thing we all have in common. We love our hair.
So if we start losing it, we're going to do something about it.
Hi, welcome to the Belgravia Centre.
Contact us for a free consultation or go online. Hair loss? Belgravia Centre.
Welcome back. When it came to previewing the draw, it was all about who was going to get Spain. Of course, they are in pot 2. In the end, it was Portugal that won that prize alongside Iran and Morocco. Let's start with Sid Lowe. Sid, Spain have got to be happy with Portugal, yeah?
Yeah, I think they are. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, the Spanish were very conscious of the fact that while they look at the draw and think about what they don't want, they were also the team that everybody else didn't want. And of course, a lot has been made about the fact that Leo Messi had said that he didn't want Spain. And I suppose if we're going to go down that tiresome route of always playing off Messi and Ronaldo, Messi got what he wanted, Ronaldo didn't. The Spanish are reasonably pleased with this. Now, it could have been a bit better, it could have been a bit worse, but in a way, doesn't that sum up the entire draw for pretty much every country?
I suppose the one positive thing, Sid, with this group is from a neutral's perspective, we're going to see a proper game because it's Portugal and Spain that kicks things off.
Yeah, it's a nice way to start, and I think if you look at the games in the first round, there's a temptation, isn't there, to suggest that this is the very best game of all of the group games.
Yeah.
I think in a way it kind of doesn't really matter because, as always happens with a group, it doesn't matter if you have one strong other team. And by the way, Portugal are by no means the strongest they could have got. The key is that you don't get a third or a fourth really strong team. And in that sense, Morocco and Iran, I think Spain are really quite happy about it. The question mark then is what happens once you get out of the group, and at that point, it does start to look very tough.
Portugal, Spain, I think Sid's right in saying this is the best of the opening match. It's big picture with Portugal. They don't seem to be in the conversation at all. No. Anyone, not even dark horses, nothing. No one seems to be giving them any sort of chance. They did just with the Euros last year.
Yeah, and I don't know how.
But they did it. They beat France in the final. You'll love it.
I think organisation, without Ronaldo, who went off injured, team spirit, all that sort of cliched nonsense, but that's what they.
But that doesn't disappear, does it?
Well, but the one thing that disappears in some of the games where it's been tight, Ronaldo's popped up, and obviously his goal ratio has been very good. He's struggling at Real Madrid. There's 7 months before now and the end of the season. It's a completely different Cristiano Ronaldo, and if it's a different Cristiano Ronaldo, it's certainly a different Portugal.
And let's not forget, 2 years ago, their centre halves were Pep, Bruno Alves, and Jose Font. Now, those first two, I think, are in their 40s now. I'm joking, not really.
Thanks for clearing that up, Gav.
Font's having a bad time at West Ham.
Yeah, exactly.
It was a great joke.
Bruno Alves is playing at Rangers in Scotland.
He'd probably rather be rather there than West Ham right now. But, so while you have this exceptional sort of conveyor belt of young talent, you kind of wonder, other than Bernardo Silva, how many of these guys are ready to contribute, ready to step up?
Renato Sanchez, who's a key player, he's having a real problem at Swansea at the moment.
Robbo, I know you're loving a bit of Morocco in this.
A little bit of Morocco. They did really well. I've got manager in Hervé Renard, who's won the African Cup of Nations with Zambia when they were nowhere near the favourites. He did well to unite Ivory Coast to win their first African Cup of Nations for quite some while. Now he's taken over Morocco. They did well in the qualifying. They're very well organised. And I think they will get the better of Portugal.
So they're going through?
They're going through in place of Portugal. There's a game, I think it was the 21st of June. That's the big game, Portugal-Morocco.
Got that in the diary.
Yep. You'll be watching it, don't you worry.
Apparently it's June 20th.
June 20th.
Hey, just keep it down. Yeah. Show up on June 21st, see what happens.
One day out.
Sid, where are Spain with regards to expectations going into the tournament next year? Obviously, it's been a massive rebuilding job internationally after that stunning success they had last decade. Where are they?
Back at the very top. Genuinely, in terms of the expectation, back at the very, very, very top. They're looking at Brazil and Germany, of course, and saying, OK, these two are incredibly strong, but they believe that they're the next team in it, and that if the draw is kind to them, if they find their best football, that they can win this. The way that they qualified, the fact that they completely destroyed Italy at the Bernabeu. Now I know in part Italy were complicit in their own problems that night, but Spain were fantastic. The way that they've I think adapted to this new era, that Lopetegui has kept some of the old guard, but also brought some new players through. The performances of Isco, the sense that this is a team that has a very clear identity, which is a continuity of what they did when they were hugely successful, but with a slightly new touch to it. I think there is in Spain a genuine expectation that they go there as favourites with Brazil and Germany.
Sid Lowe, thank you very much. We'll let you go because we'll focus now on another of the tournament's favourites. Group E sees Brazil with Switzerland, Serbia and Costa Rica. I think I'm right in saying we've seen every group. Brazil, 90% to advance. That is the highest SPI, and...
Probably still low. Probably higher.
Oh, you took the words out of my mouth, Gav.
You want to host, Gav?
Yeah. I was just helping you out. I was just chipping in. No,
Brazil very happy, obviously, with this.
No question about it. And the way they've qualified, the harmony Chichi has brought, their opponents in this group, teams that they match up very well against, I think. Yeah.
Was there any team that Brazil wasn't going to match up well against? I don't...
Hey, I mean, again, you know, they could have gotten Spain. But
I mean, if they go there...
That's really where you're...
Yeah.
Craig, how much does the 7-1 play a part throughout this tournament? Because people are going to be bringing it up. From a player's perspective, how much does it affect you?
I think quite a bit if you got in the same scenario against the same team.
Yeah.
Certainly would play a factor in the guys that played in the game. The one thing, from Brazil's point of view, if they cut the sideshow out, you know, we saw down in before that game of the 7-1 game was when Neymar got injured against Colombia, when the guy just hatchet job, took him out, stretched it off. The media was just a media frenzy. Then the players had the Neymar T-shirts and all that sort of nonsense, and they kind of defocused on the job. If they cut that out, and I know that's difficult because the Brazilian media in particular, it's like it's just crazy, but if they cut that out and concentrate on the actual job in hand, then there's going to have to take a hell of a good team to beat them. And of course, Neymar could do what Messi and Argentina have wanted Messi to do for years and years, and that's drag Brazil to a World Cup.
And that
big boy time, isn't it?
Yeah, well, that's a platform, isn't it? For Neymar to go from a superstar to then an entirely different level altogether. You take Brazil as the leader of the team to a World Cup title after what was the disappointment of 2014. That puts you in a different category. Neymar has a unique opportunity here. Tite has allowed this team and has forced this team to become more balanced, but given Neymar the freedom to do whatever he wants in the final third. He appears on the right, he appears in the middle, he appears on the left, he drops off, he goes up top. He can do whatever he wants as long as he's productive. And he has been so for Brazil and Tite. I expect Neymar to have a wonderful World Cup, and if that's the case, then Brazil is going to be there in the end.
We talk about then who's going to finish second. Costa Rica surprised everyone last time. What was it? Italy, England, Uruguay, and they finished top of that group.
Yeah, I love being reminded of that as well. I think that may be true, but I think we often put too much stock in what happened before.
Right.
Costa Rica have a different manager now. It's not as if...
So who's finishing second?
For me, I like Serbia.
Serbia? Who have you got, Roman?
I've got Costa Rica. I think they will... I don't think Switzerland have got enough firepower. The coach wants to be too defensive. Serbia, I think it's a World Cup too early for them. They did well they won the Under-20 World Cup, but some of those players haven't yet got into the side. So I think it's going to be Costa Rica.
With Brazil?
With Brazil.
With Brazil.
Thank you.
OK, well, that's good to know.
just to clear that up.
Coming up after the break, we'll be looking at France's group. The French will be delighted. Julien Laurent will be here to break it down. Welcome back. We've reached Group C in our journey around the World Cup draw. France, 75% to advance. They've been joined with Denmark, Peru and Australia. Julien Laurent, yeah, pretty happy with that, I imagine.
Yeah, pretty happy. So was Didier Deschamps and a few of the players who have spoken out already on. They wanted to avoid Spain and England, obviously, like a lot of clubs from that pot 2, and also Uruguay, which they did. And it's a similar group than the one they had 4 years ago in 2014 with Switzerland, Honduras, and Ecuador. And you know, if you think about Peru, Australia, Denmark, they're all teams that France can easily win against, and it will enable them to go from strength to strength in that group stage, which is what they wanted, to be ready then in the last 16 when it's a completely different tournament that starts.
Are you surprised that Deschamps still in charge, Craig, after what happened in the Euros?
Then what, sorry?
Deschamps is still in charge.
Well,
I know they made it to the final, but then they just completely disappeared.
Yeah. No, I'm not, actually. I think they've given him, obviously given him another chance. They like what he's doing with the group of players that he's got. Let's not forget this is a French team, or a French squad, that can afford to leave out, amongst other people, Karim Benzema.
Sure.
For the latest game, Bakayoko wasn't in the squad. He moaned about it. I mean, I know he's not playing great at Chelsea at the moment, but he was a semi-finalist with Monaco. We know he's a good player. So their problem is they can leave players out. Such a deep squad they've got. They're one of the teams in the World Cup that I'm actually looking forward to watching the most, because they're young, they're strong, they're big, they're dynamic, they've got a bit of experience, a bit of guile, and going forward, they are going to be absolutely mustard, particularly with Kylian Mbappe.
The squad is deep. Is Deschamps their weakest link?
I think so. I mean, and again, it might not be enough to undo them, but when you look at what a manager brings, especially when he's got so many options. You know, we see this all the time in the World Cup. Sometimes you see teams that don't have a lot of depth, like perhaps, you know, some of the smaller South American sides, but, you know, those guys play together for 10 years, they become like a club team. That's not where France are at. You know, he's got so many things, which means that there's so many different things he can screw up. He had major issues in 2016 in terms of finding the right lineup. How do I use Pogba? Do I then drop Pogba? Do I play with Conte? I mean, how do you even begin picking who your front three are? You know, you have to get it right, and the minute you draw a game or don't play well, people are going to criticize you. You need to have the temperament to deal with that. I just don't know that, you know, Deschamps is the ideal guy for this group.
Julien?
I agree with the boys. I think Deschamps made mistakes in 2014. He made mistakes again, and most importantly in 2016 when the Euros was there for us to take at home against Portugal in that final. I agree with Gab. Tactically, there's still some question marks over his qualities and over the fact that does he know, you know, how we're going to play, what is our style of play. Even the players, some of the players are a bit lost about that. But if he gets it right, and again, I don't think he's far from getting it right. I think with that much talent, it shouldn't take much to get it right. I think they can go really far.
Australia, Peru, Denmark. Who have you got?
I would go for Peru. I don't think Denmark, apart from Ericsson, haven't got the players that can create enough. Australia, they qualified, beating Honduras, but it was a tough trip for Honduras. The managers resigned. I don't think they've got any players that you'd call outstanding players. So I think Peru, if everybody's fit for them and they can keep everybody
No
on
love
track.
for Tim Cahill?
No, absolutely not. I mean, he's a good player. He's been an excellent player, but he can't still perform at a World Cup to a high level at his age.
He's going to prove you wrong.
Probably, he may well do.
I'm going to go with Peru. And then the big caveat is what happens with Paulo Guerrero and his doping situation and whether he gets banned or not. You just mentioned the lack of depth in smaller South American size. Well, that's the definition of Peru right there. If you don't have Paulo Guerrero, you don't have anybody else that can play the role that he plays and brings everybody else into the attack. He is the focal point of their attack. He holds all the play and allows all the other playmakers to get around him. If he's available, Peru advances.
Any love for the Socceroos?
No, I think they did well to scrape themselves into the World Cup. Happy about that, but no, I don't see it, and I don't see Denmark being good enough to get out as well. I see Peru going through in second place, particularly for the experience of the teams that they had to play in qualifying in South America.
Australia, Gab, any chance in your eyes?
I think it's going to be really, really tough, and you know, even against a team like Denmark, and I agree this is not a great team, and they're, you know, if Christian Eriksen shows up, then obviously you're in trouble. If he doesn't show up, and sometimes he doesn't show up, you still have to work your way through a whole bunch of experienced players. So no.
I'm glad you got Christian Eriksen in there.
I had to.
You know you love some Christian Eriksen.
All right, then, coming up after the break, we'll be focusing on England's group. They are drawn against Belgium. Apart from that, though, it's a pretty nice tie for Gareth Southgate's side.
I wanted to come home. I want to prove that I'm the best.
He is special. Still undefeated. Beast! And it is all over. Oh, my goodness. Oh, that's surely it.
When guys shave, this is what they do to try to get every hair. This is what we do. Shaving rebuilt with Gillette FlexBall technology. Moves like no other razor. It responds to the contours of your face. Gillette.
Save 50% on personalised wall calendars from Vistaprint. Classic size is $7.99 when you enter promo code GIFT at vistaprint.co.uk. Order by the 20th of December to get it before Christmas.
What? The fridge freezer's died? Can't wait until payday to get that fixed.
Quick, think. Restore some order. Find out more at quickquid.co.uk.
Are we taking our last look at them? Are we really saying, goodbye, old friend? When poachers kill more beautiful, majestic elephants than are being born, we could be looking at a world without elephants. Please adopt an elephant with WWF for just £3 a month. Call 0800 035 5912 or search WWF Elephants. Then let's make sure we're not saying goodbye to one of our oldest friends.
Brighten up your Christmas with Tough Max Torch from JML, the pocket-sized powerhouse that's super bright and built to last. The tough aluminium casing can stand up to virtually anything, and the bright LED lights emit an incredible 6,000 lux, 14 times brighter than an ordinary torch. Choose from 5 light modes that make sure you're seen safe and smart. Shine a light on your Christmas with Tough Max Torch from JML. From $19.99 from Asda, Boots, The Range and Wilco. JML, your Christmas made easier.
Sup, player? You thinking it's too much hassle switching energy supplies, even though it could save you hundreds of pounds? With U-Switch, it's a cinch. Like the time you put up that tent before darkness fell. Or that time you changed that duvet by yourself. That's right, Stephen. Just go online or call them up, and the rest is history.
Steve can do this.
Yes, you can.
U-Switch. Switching made simple.
The only thing that stands between you and great sleep is a simple box. The revolutionary engineered Casper mattress perfectly balances soft and firm for outrageous comfort. It's the internet's mattress. Order online. You can try it for 100 nights in your own home. If you don't like it, we'll pick it up and refund you everything. An award-winning mattress. Try it today, risk-free, at Casper.com.
Dolce & Gabbana, the one. The new eau de toilette.
Welcome back. We've reached Group G when it comes to analysing today's World Cup draw. England and Belgium together along with Panama and Tunisia. Belgium and England, the big favourites to advance. Stuart Robson is the Englishman on this couch. How are you feeling?
It's an easy group for England. We saw in the last 2 games that England played, the friendlies, that they are getting something together. Southgate's starting to get his style of football, what he wants to play, with 3 at the back. They are trying to play out from the back.
Didn't they play, wasn't it 2 0-0 draws?
2 0-0 draws. I'm not saying they're a good side. I'm not saying he's a good coach, but I think they're far too good for the other 2 teams in the group. Belgium may be a different prospect or proposition, but I think with Belgium, Roberto Martinez is going to be key. They've got great players. It's whether he can get it right, whether he can keep all the egos together. He's got a coach below him that doesn't really do too much in Graham Jones, and he's got Thierry Henry. I don't think he's got that much experience of coaching. And Roberto Martinez has never been to a World Cup. He's done it for ESPN as a panellist, but he's never actually coached. He's never played, and I think that might be a slight problem for him.
You could say his name right.
Yes. Martinez.
There you go. There it is.
Do you remember those? Do you remember easy games for England? Do you remember that easy game that they had supposedly at the Euros?
The Iceland game, yes.
The Iceland game, they were just going to wipe them off the face and they were going to stroll on. So in some ways, this, I think, puts an added amount of pressure on Gareth Southgate, because the English public will be looking at these games, particularly the Tunisia game, and thinking, oh, we just need to turn up and win. And if they don't, even if it's a draw, that's when it gets cranked up.
Ian Darke is with us as well. Ian, how do you feel with your English hat on?
Well, England should qualify from that group. It's about as soft a draw as they could have hoped for. But England have got to get rid of the fear factor that seems to overtake them at every major championship, this series of dismal showings. They need Harry Kane to be the player he is with Tottenham. So far in summers, he hasn't looked good. Euro Under-21, the Euro 2016 tournament. There's got to be a question mark about a few others as well. Danny Rose having an unsettled time at Tottenham. Dele Alli not really doing it for Spurs at the moment. So those would be worries for Gareth Southgate. I'm with Stuart, though, about the defence. I think that's improving, that three-man defence. Stones has been majestic this season. Maguire looks good alongside him. Joe Gomez is coming through. Phil Jones, if they can keep him fit. I think that back three played a full-strength Brazil side and kept them out with some ease in that game. That might be something to take encouragement from going forward into the knockout stages.
Where do you stand on England?
Well, I don't care.
Well,
first of all. But second of all, it's a tap-in. It's a layup. I mean, this is as good as you could have hoped for if you're England. Panama and Tunisia, come on now. Come on, I love me some Panama, but I cannot make an argument for Panama to be competitive against England. They shouldn't be competitive against England. So this comes down to essentially what we like to call in the show Moreno range.
Yeah.
This is a tap-in, and it should be a layup for England.
For Belgium, what are their expectations going into this World Cup? Obviously, we talked at length about them in 2014, this great generation of players. Some people saying they were dark horses. It was ridiculous, when in fact they were sick favourites, I seem to remember. This time round, there doesn't seem to be as much hype.
No, it doesn't. I think the Euros kind of brought them back down to earth in a lot of people's eyes. But these are still really, really good players. They're all at the peak of their career. I think Belgium are one of the sides that are capable of winning the World Cup. You know, again, we can go and...
What's their problem, Gab?
Well, their problem until very recently was that they had a very, very bad manager. Mark Wilmots, and, you know, and I try to use a word judiciously, not to throw the word bad out there, but he was just not good. He made bad decisions, he made bad lineups, you know, he had no clear idea of how the pieces fit together. Roberto Martinez, you can criticize his ideas, but he has an idea. Right. And he does train his teams, and he does prepare them. But if they're fit, I mean, top to bottom, this is a very strong lineup. And it's an even stronger one if Roberto swallows his pride and brings back Raja Nainggolan to the midfield.
Well, he should. I mean, Nainggolan should absolutely be in the squad if not playing. But it's whether he's a plan B, Roberto Martinez, and that is that it's not all-out attack all the time. It's not leaving yourself open, because the better teams will pick you off when you do that. If he keeps wanting to play this open attacking football all the time, it will work against the weaker teams, but not so much against the better teams. But he plays a kind of 3-4-3 system. He has Lukaku up front, and he has Hazard and Dries Mertens kind of just a little bit narrow behind, and that's given a lot of teams a lot of problems.
Doesn't sound too bad when you look at it like that.
With De Bruyne behind, who's a great form for Man City. So you've got Vertonghen and other players at the back with great experience. There's no reason against even the best teams they shouldn't be competitive. That's what's going to put the pressure on the Belgian manager.
The only thing that I would say is stage fright.
Right.
They get to that moment, and now, okay, now you're playing against the big daddies. Now you're not, it's not Tunisia, now it's not Panama. Now you've advanced and it's in the quarterfinals, and now you're matched up against one of the big teams. What version of Belgium do we see?
Stage fright for the players, but also for the manager.
Yeah, yes.
Across the board. Roberto's not playing, okay? Roberto Martinez is not going to play.
You just said Mark Wilmots was the problem before.
Yeah, no, but he sent them out with no idea. I mean, you look at those defenders; those are good defenders. You have one of the best goalkeepers in the world. That front four: Mertens, Hazard, De Bruyne, and Lukaku. I challenge you to find more than one or two front fours in this World Cup who are better.
So,
right, well, we'll agree with that. You talk about managers and organisation, and the boys have mentioned stage fright. Within reason of setting a team up and with some normality, they should have went in the Euros. Was it the semi-final? And
quarterfinals when they lost to Wales. Yeah.
And lost to Wales. I mean, you look at player for player, the Welsh team and the Belgium team, and it can't all... I know Wilmots is not a great manager, but a lot of it has to go on the players as well.
I want to go to Julianne, because I suppose that's the big question regarding not advancing the group, but how far Belgium can go. Craig mentioned their lineup. You know, this team has got the capability, hasn't it, to win the World Cup?
Winning it, I'm not sure. I still think they lack a bit of experience when they're going to get to the semi-final, if they get there, or even the final, because they've... You know, the players have never been there, even in European competitions, for example, they have struggled to win stuff, for example. So I think the experience might be an issue. And with the boys, I agree over the manager. I'm not sure Roberto Martinez is that much better than Wilmots, to be fair. I think it could be an issue as well. But in terms of talent and if the players maybe take control of certain things, I think they can go really far.
Ian, what do you think? Are you swallowing Julian's lack of experience pill? That's the reason they're not going to make it all the way?
I don't think they're going to win the World Cup. They've had a brilliant team, really, for quite a while now. At the last World Cup, a lot of those names were there at the European Championships. They went out to Wales. They were wiped out by Wales in the quarter-final. They didn't play at all. I think there's a psychological barrier there. I think they've got bags of attacking flair. And I think Ali said it there. When it gets to the knockout stages, is that defence going to be quite good enough? Because it's a very attacking-minded side.
Let's focus on Group H, shall we, then next. Poland, Senegal, Colombia and Japan. Gab Marcotti.
So, I love Senegal. I don't know why they're bottom here, because you know, this is a team that's had experience in the Cup of Nations. They have Sadio Mane, they have Koulibaly, they have Kouyaté in midfield, plus Idrissa Gueye. I think there's some real quality in this team. And you look at the opposition, and I place Colombia top. But then after that, I think they can get there. Now, Poland are an interesting side. I thought they've played some really good football at the Euros as well. Adam Nawalka is a smart manager. Lewandowski obviously gets you a ton of goals, and they've been at it, and they've been together for a time. But I think it's going to come down to Poland and Senegal, basically, for second spot.
What do you think of this one?
Yeah, I didn't get Japan as even as the third team in that, to be honest with you. I'm with Gab here. I think Senegal and Poland for second spot. Poland rely heavily on, obviously, the big striker from Bayern Munich. But Gab mentioned the players playing for Senegal. On any given day, those players are match winners.
I'm going to go for Senegal. African Cup of Nations, they should have won that. They got knocked out in the semi-final. They're a top side. They've got good players. And if they get it right, they cause problems for all these teams.
It'd be interesting to see Colombia and what version of Colombia we see in the World Cup. If we take it back to Brazil, how this platform served to take James Rodriguez from a good player to all of a sudden a superstar. And in terms of what the perception was for him as a player. Colombia is a talented team. And it's a team that in a tournament like this, I expect them to be successful in the group stage. After that, they may be a little limited, but certainly good enough to be first in this group. I think second place is going to go to Senegal. I don't believe in Poland. I don't really see this team being a Pod 1 team. We can get into that discussion some other time, but certainly seems like a weak Pod 1 team. Colombia and Senegal to advance.
Today's draw was the definitive draw, so nothing after the group stages, because we will know the bracket as well. Coming up after the break, we'll be discussing some of the permutations that might take place given the boys' predictions as to who will advance from the groups. Welcome back. So the draw is definitive. Of course, there isn't then a draw at the end of the group stages, so we can kind of take a look at the possible bracket. So this is Gab's prediction as to how it will look. The round of 16, some interesting ties, certainly when you take it through. It would certainly feel, boys, that it's better to be on the left-hand side than the right-hand side. Obviously, just France and Brazil there.
Yeah, although if you get stuck playing Brazil, then it's going to be a long day regardless. But certainly that looks relatively straightforward for Brazil. I wonder if we could have a twist or turn in the top left-hand corner with Nigeria, Portugal, Uruguay. You know, we talked about some of the issues France might have. The top right seems very straightforward, possibly the quarterfinal of the tournament, the two big boys, Spain and Argentina. Again, that looks pretty straightforward. And then, of course, the old familiar Germany v. England quarterfinal.
Oops. No, we don't need that. Raf Honigstein with us. So, Raf, you take a look at it. Germany's side, in theory, if it goes to plan, you play England in the quarters, Spain in the semis, then I suppose Brazil in the final. No problem.
Well, first of all, we need to know if there'll be VAR for Germany-England for the quarterfinal, because that could change absolutely everything. Right? Look, I think Germany, if you look at their World Cup last year, you saw that they actually struggled against unexpected opposition and then had easy games against the toughest team. So I think it goes to show that despite all the familiarity that we tend to get in the latter stages, with the big guns usually win World Cups, there is still this kind of weird surprise X factor that you just cannot predict. You cannot predict Costa Rica topping a group with Italy and Uruguay. You can't predict England getting knocked out in their group necessarily. So let's not get ahead of ourselves. What Germany have got, I think, they've got depth more than anyone else, with the exception of France, and they've got, of course, the confidence that they don't play with any pressure, really. I mean, of course, they don't want to embarrass themselves. Of course, they want to get as far as they have to, but they know that they can just show up and just do their best and maybe come home with a trophy again. There isn't really a sort of worst-case scenario that's realistic for this team. So I think that puts them in a very strong position this time round.
See, that's the arrogance. Arrogance again. You've got England coming out the group, and you've got them beating Colombia, and they're not even on the list for the odds.
What do you mean? Oh, you're saying I'm arrogant. I thought it was about Raf. Germany are favourites.
Not Raf. You knew I was talking about you.
Oh, you see, because I suggested they were going to beat Colombia.
Well, you sort of shoehorned England into a quarter-final against Germany.
Right. I was getting ahead of myself.
Sorry?
A little bit.
Yeah, well, what about the odds?
There's the odds. Yeah, you can see the odds. Julian, who's your favourite to win the World Cup? It's a stupid question, Julian.
Yeah, France. I think I think this could be our years. It will be 20 years after the 1998 World Cup that we won at home. I think it's the right time for the Pogba generation. You've got the older players like Lloris, Giroud, Koscielny, Matuidi. The very young ones like Mbappe, like Craig said, and Martial and Coman and Rabiot and all those kids. And you've got the middle one with Pogba, with Varane, with Griezmann, with Conte. And I think it's the right time for all of them to gel. If Deschamps, like we said, please, make the right choices, and I think we can really win.
Please.
20 years,
Please,
Craig.
Mr. Deschamps.
20 years, you're feeling old.
Sorry?
20 years since 98.
Yeah.
Who's your prediction?
You don't look a day older.
He does.
Well, it's not 20 years since 98.
Well, it will be, obviously.
Will be.
Oh, my goodness.
So
right.
you'll look better then.
Well, a little haircut here and there.
Right, I'm bored of that.
Germany.
Germany. Gam.
Oh, Belgium.
I don't want to give you a long answer, so...
Why of a lifetime?
What else is new?
I like Argentina. I like Sampaoli, and I like the Messi story.
So Argentina, then?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Messi story would be something special, but I'm thinking Neymar in Brazil.
All these managers that you've fallen in love with, they haven't done so well recently.
No.
Ancelotti, Thomas Tuchel.
Where's Bielsa? What's Bielsa up to these days?
Moyes.
Moyes, that's right.
France. If Didier Deschamps gets Conte to play as the holding midfield player, he gets all the expensive players around him, they're going to win.
Well, what else is he going to play?
He doesn't always play.
He might keep him on the bench.
Well, they could play Tolisso in there as well. He's got options.
France will win.
France will win. That's definitive.
Yeah.
All right, then.
That's it.
OK, thank you very much to Craig. England, obviously, is my pick.
What? We didn't ask you that because we knew that.
There it is. Thank you very much. For a lot more on this, you can go to ESPNFC.com.